a couple more turns and you can see I've actually created one of these. I'm using the expansion's larger cube for freighters. You're supposed to kind of add that in even if you're not using any of the modules when you start playing with the colonization expansion. So I decided to hell with it. You know, it makes sense to add that without much effort. It differentiates the freighter from the rest of the cubes kind of nicely. So I'm going to do that without playing with any of the other rules from it particularly. Over here, a big collection of cards. Remember, I'm not allowing the aliens to buy cards if they have more than 3 black cards in their hand, just because they only ever have black cards in this. So they're going to. They were kind of not allowed to bid. This guy didn't have enough cash, so we were able to get a whole pile of stuff. And part of my plan may be to go get the Robonaut. I don't think I'm going to be able to beat green, you know, in terms of speed here, to the extent that I can prevent green from taking my thing, my victory point location. But I think that I can maybe help green get to 5 victory points so we can both win, because I don't see how we can do it otherwise. And meanwhile, this guy's collecting his 1 water a turn, building up, getting ready to launch this sucker. Obviously, if he could get in on the bidding, it would have cost Shimizu a little bit more money, but they're making sure they have piles of cash on hand, so no big moneymaker ever goes into his hands. So it would have just cost Shimizu more. It wouldn't have actually had any real effect on the play of the game or on the outcome, I don't think. Although time is of importance, but you know, and that extra money takes a little bit of extra time to generate, but not when you can grab a whole pile of components for a small amount of money, whether it's $4, which is what this would have been, or the $1 that it was. I'm playing a lot less right now, in part because I started playing stupid Baseball Mogul. I've played it several times in my life. It's always completely addictive to me. I have to kind of get to the point where I no longer want to play it, which I started in 1901, and probably at some point or another, I don't set it very complicated at a very high difficulty level, so I don't put it at the lowest, but I think I put it at the second. It gets boring kind of quickly, but I like to watch myself build a dynasty. And the first time I played until like 2080 or something, but since then you kind of get bored somewhere in the 1960s or 70s. It's kind of cool seeing the players that you know coming out. At some point my knowledge of baseball kind of stops, probably somewhere around 2003, 2004. I pay no attention anymore, basically. I might recognize a couple of names. And then there's a period in the 90s where I wasn't really paying much attention either. But when you no longer have historical players at all, it kind of gets dull to me. Except when you see like a dolphin playing or something. I don't know if the version I have still has that. The old one did. Okay. I don't have the newest. And also I have this damn, I picked up yet another ban. It's like a couple of 2-day bans, 3-day bans, whatever. Now I got a 5-day ban for my little dots. So kind of focusing more on my website, and kind of don't really want to post a lot of videos, because with a ban in place, it's harder for me to maintain them. I have to do it all at once later. I kind of screwed up in the interest of making the game a little faster. I reversed course on this guy. He bought a couple of Robonauts I didn't need because I'm distracted and wandering away between turns, as I always do. And, well, he should have just launched, but instead I allowed him to return those back and do sale operations for them, just to give him piles and piles of cash. Green is not going to support him on the thruster without a decent payoff, though. Probably enough to launch his own stuff. So he's got to decide, is he going to chance it or not? But his goal is to get this crappy... He's got a crappier Robonaut than this one, just slightly worse. I think it's got more weight to it or something. It's got this sucker. Oh, it's lighter actually. Why is it crappier? It's crappier because it has a worse ISRU. Now that Red's got their rocket out, though, I can't just sail over there and attack them. Well, they don't have a missile, so maybe I can. That may be my best move. The other alternative, though, would be to go switch ISRUs with here and then use the slightly better one that I left behind there, at least better for prospecting, to try and, I don't know, you know, discover mines and set up a situation where I'm in the lead. This is going to be a really long scenario if it comes to an attritional type war. It may just be unending because players can just constantly throw their water values in, which is a reason why orange and green working together with a tied values total could win this, because I could throw the orange rocket at red, have a shot at taking it down, and then chances are some of this is going to be decommissioned, assuming that my ISRU works. Now here's another thing. I could carry 2 of these Robonauts with me and have 2 missiles, and he can't shoot them both out before I get a shot. He really needs to get to missile technology somehow. Right now, though, he feels like he's got some opportunity to do other things. He doesn't have a lot of cash. It's hard for him to buy any technology at all off the stack. And the thing up here is a damn laser, which he's not terribly interested in getting another laser particularly. He doesn't know what's on the back of it. It would also help to have Buggy, so that if he won a battle, he could, you know, pillage the defender. Just very different thoughts in this because of the military focus from some of the others. Anyway, otherwise we're just kind of bookkeeping and playing with the, you know, buying and selling patents and shit like that. Strong advantage of the missiles has convinced Orange to go for it. So they fired off through here. Now they used this thruster to get their way through. With the half cost, it's 2 per burst, which isn't very good. They're going to have to refuel somewhere in the Mars region. That's fine. And then set back off in the direction of Saturn. This big line is presumably my quickest way to Saturn. I'm not positive of that. It may just be extending that line because that's easier, but my assumption is it's the quickest. Maybe when I get here I'll have to look at this, but it looks pretty decent, except for these radiations here, which I may want to avoid the Jupiter belt. But I feel like I've got a good shot. If this doesn't shoot out my Robonaut, which has a rad hardness of 5, so it's pretty likely it won't, I can outgun them. And if the other Earthlings can't take this out, I get the win. So Red is kind of scared, and they're collecting fuel. They may end up trying to buy themselves another Robonaut, but I'm basically not willing to cut any deals with anyone now. I think the Shimizu are going to just go for the win here. Oh, you know what I forgot? I forgot about this sucker. I've got a rad check there. He was moving. He's a 5. He's fine. So he was able to make it up to high Earth orbit. I could have stopped and shot that. Why would I want to? Well, would have been pretty dicky of me to do it. But anyway, I didn't. I forgot all about that freighter. That's not going to help the Earthlings too much, the ESA too much. It does give them a lot of thrust, though. It's a generator. Does my thruster go down to a generator? Yes, it does. And then I don't know if I need the radiator anymore. I'm sorry, I don't think I need a reactor anymore. It was probably on the other side of this. Yeah. So I'll be able to get away without this, which isn't terribly heavy, and I'll have a more valuable bonus for my thrust. Actually an interesting race going on at this point. This guy has nothing he can really do. But over here, he had to land here because he's got a worse ISRU. And he's only producing 1 fuel per turn there with that thing. That's why he wanted to go back and get this one, but chose not to. Now, he could improve that maybe by getting this one. If he found a site, he could build that one, but there's no reason to believe that there's going to be a missile on the other side of that, or that I'm going to get an S buildable missile. I have to have an S. I'm sorry, this is a D site. I can't even build anything there. So I'm going to have to, launch back up and work my way back through. There's no easy way out of here, actually. I guess I can make it to this Hohmann junction. That's going to be my best way out. And then take the green line back up. It's like trying to find a subway line here. But here's what's interesting. I think red actually has a shot of making it to here and to Earth before orange can make it out to Titan. Remember, this thing is quite potent, and it gets first shot over the missiles. So I'll get a shot at this, which has a rad hardness of 4. Now this could just wipe me out, but then I can launch this thing to protect myself again. What's becoming impossible is for me to buy an ISRU, and if I buy that one, maybe it has a missile, maybe it doesn't, but there's just, no value to it. Orange is probably going to end up decommissioning, though. They have some things they don't need on this ship. In particular, I have this generator, which I don't need. No, I need it for the thrusters. I have this refinery I don't need, though, that I could just turn into more money, or I could leave it behind somewhere in an outpost, but I don't see much value to that. You're only allowed 1 outpost, so I guess the answer to that is no, I cannot. So I think the only thing that I can really do is decommission it and turn it into more cash, or hold it in my hand in the hopes that it's a better one than what's available. It's lighter than this one. It's appealing. Why do you say ISRU? Oh, that's just the name of this on it. Okay. So we'll see who kind of wins that race. We could actually calculate it out ahead of time. This guy has a thrust factor of infinite, 16. Once he gets his fuel up, he can get it up, well, out to here, really. Although these refueling, these expenditures are kind of high. They take a whole tank. So I may not want to do that. But it's going to be easier for me to refuel, I think, than orange. But we'll go for it because green might be able to jump up and stop that attack. I don't know. So I've used like 7 burns so far flying to here. That only cost me 3.5. I've got, I think, 16 burns I can use, so I can get up to an 8. Now the question is, well, which is the easiest way to get down to here? This looks plausible. There's another possibility down here, but this looks kind of messy. So if I'm at 3.5, I'm just going to keep going here. I'm not going to worry too much. 4, that's going to cost me another one there, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah. 4. Now where? You don't have to be so careful when you've got a lot of points. 4. This was free, so I get to here. That's going to cost me 1/2. That's going to cost a full one, so I'm at 5 now. And now I can just slide through here. I have to make my die roll. What is my die roll? My die roll, it's normal weather. Let's see what happens. I have decent rad hardening on most of these 5s and 6s. This is my weak spot, is this radiator. But I have I have minus infinite because I'm so fast. So that's going to be another half. And into here, that half I have to round up because I'm stopping. Now I have an event before I get into combat. And I don't know where my dice are. Any of them. I found one. This goes here. And we get a special. This is going to be budget cuts. All players discard a white card. I don't have any white cards, but everybody else is going to have to do that. I'm not sure what I'm discarding. And whether or not, I have to look that up. Okay. But let's do our fire first. So we have a laser, and they have not a laser. So I just need to get higher than a 4 to shoot him out. And I do. I would have to be around for more rounds if that wasn't the case. So this has just been decommissioned. Now I have to remember, this wasn't in his hand when the event took place. This is gone. I don't have any victory points though. And here's the problem, because I need to be able to drop a Robonaut there. Plan defeated. Of course, I don't lose, but I've got that problem. Now let me look up what the event is here. I'm not going to be able to just sail into Earth and win. Actually, green, I think, would win if I sail into Earth at this point. But it was an unfair race. Red's ship is too fast. He could get wherever it wants. So he wasn't under any real threat. Now, whether or not I would have visualized that this is a threat so early, with him not prospecting, probably not. But I'm not worrying too much about the hiding the nature of things. Now, what happened here? Each player, starting with the phasing player, discards a white card, I assume out of his hand, a white hand card. So the only person who has him is this poor guy here. And this is his ship, you know. He can't really afford to discard it all, any of it. I gotta decide one of those, but yeah, that sucks. Kind of rough here. There are a number of different things that this game could go direction-wise at this point. Red would have to decommission their entire rocket to set the Robonaut up here. So they'd have to relaunch it. Now once it's launched, it's capable of quite a bit of reach. A base here is with the ISRU is going to be more potent than the rocket with it, because the rocket can be decommissioned by just about any hit with a missile, whereas, well, they both have the same general. Actually, I think 5 is about as weak as I'm going to be. No, I got these stupid radiators at 3. So yes, I am weaker than the fort that I could leave behind. But all the same, what it comes down to is if this can shoot the ISRU, it survives. If it can't shoot it, it probably dies. And it's going to take me a long time to build up my water so that I can fly back. Other option? Well, if I can fly to an S location and successfully colonize it, build a factory in it, industrialize it, then all I have to do is fly to Earth. I don't actually have to even attack anything, because if an Earth unit is here in low Earth orbit, it doesn't get to shoot me unless I'm leaving or until their turn. So that would be victory. But it's not. Neither one looks trivial, and here's why. if I set up, we've already discussed how long it's going to take, I think, for that rocket to get rebuilt over on Titan. And by that time, who knows what's going to be produced or done. But for prospecting, there's no easy place I can go. I can't go to Luna and do this. There's no way to land there with what I've got. I don't have the kind of big rocket that I'd need. Actually I do. I have a 15 thrust. Yeah, I can land on Luna. Well, that's tasty. So that's actually probably what I'll do, because that's going to be pretty much impossible for someone else to attack. Although I think you might be able to shoot those things from space. There's some hint about that. And it would make sense. The other side of this, though, is this guy doesn't have a working rocket combination, but he does have a working rocket. He just is missing the refinery. So he can't score points, but he could put something out there that has a missile on board, I believe. Or is it? Nah, it's just a laser. So they could duel it out with lasers, which probably isn't too effective. So in order to win, I feel like I kind of need the refinery to build space stuff. Another option, of course, would be to decommission this and put the Robonaut in the key location, which, if this guy moves off to go colonize Luna, I can do, but I'd better boost first. So if I try to buy the refinery, I'm not going to be able to boost. Well, unfortunately for me, I already started trying to buy the refinery. And Orange is interested in it as well. Not because he particularly needs a refinery, but because it comes with supplemental pieces that he could turn into more money, and he's afraid of Green being able to create money. He doesn't want Green to go fast towards things. They're not really working together anymore. They tried for a little bit, at least in concept, and then Orange decided to go after the victory, saying, hey, I got this, I'll just go for it. Well, now they're not really in that position anymore. And it becomes kind of a crapshoot. Hey, whoever gets someplace first and then can deal with things. The problem is, this thing's hard to deal with, unless they can knock it out. So, I'm not quite sure what this is going to go for, but I don't think Orange is willing to pay too much cash for it, although cash doesn't matter much to them except in competition with Red and Green. So I'm looking at, well, I've got like $9. I can go to 4 easily, 5 maybe. Green has a harder time because they haven't got their rocket launched. He's just looking at making money off of whatever he builds. So I think it's going to end up going to the Shimizu or Shimizu instead. Building a base on the moon was pretty trivial. It was just a matter of flying there. And now I've still got enough fuel to make it all the way to Earth, because that's just going to cost me, I lift off for free with that huge booster. That's going to cost me 1, I can't be stopped here, and 2 into here and then to here. Now, if the Earth Force could get a rocket into HEO, they would be able to intercept, but they cannot. So essentially, Green has nothing he can do. The question is, can Orange interfere in any way? They can't land on the moon. There's no aero brake or anything like that. So they're not going to be able to combat there. So the question is, can they make it to HEO? Let's see. Looks like the red loop is the one we'd be taking. We'd be able to lift off. That's 1, 2, 3. I would need 4 burns to get there. My rocket has 3 burns. This doesn't add any. -1 is 2, +1 if they throw into me. I'm not going to be able to make it. So this is actually over. Assuming these guys can make it into, yeah, they automatically make it. Yeah, there's really no way around it because I'm going to have to pay all those burns and I don't have it. I do have, however, this thing which could get me there in terms of thrust. It's got 5 burns, which would work out to be 5, but I'd have to pay 2 per burn and I could only go 2 of those 5. So we're done. The Titan ship is going to be able to make it in an attack Earth just because the Luna base was easy enough to install. There was one possibility of this getting skewed, which was a random event that was generated. There will not be another one affecting them. I guess it's possible Orange could trigger one or not. But I'm going to call this over. I'll say the aliens won, and we're going to get to colonization soon. I don't know if it's the very next thing I do. I might as well. I was thinking about doing a quick hit on Wings of War, but there's no way I can put it on Board Game Geek for the next week or whatever, so yeah.